MyMichelleLive, Sports Timeout. The fans, the field, the faith, the fun. Here's Michelle.
Oh yeah, not just Michelle, my friends, but I am joined by a round table of my brothers ready to take on the one subject that can bring all peoples together, no matter what our differences, and that is, wait for it, sports!
Sports.
This goes on a while, so just be patient, peeps. Yeah, we're here, and let me introduce you to the round table. First off, we're going to love this. The Reverend of Absolute Coolness where sports is concerned. He is a pastor, he is a coach, and he pangs us, Garrick Pang.
Get ready to get panged.
We have with us Brent Baker.
Author, photographer, Brent R Baker.
That's right. We have with us Encyclopedia Rich.
Encyclopedia Rich.
The Encyclopedia.
Rich Hallstrom, and we have with us Joshua McMillen, the Wookie of the Year.
Wookie of the Year, Josh McMillen.
Welcome, guys, and I am Michelle Mendoza. Thank you, Big Voice Guy, for putting those together. We are there he is, the Wookie himself. Now we can
Looking
see
more
him
like a Jawa there.
You may be listening, but you can also watch. We are live right now, and you may be listening a little bit later, in which case we're not really live. We just play live on TV.
But we are alive.
Let's hope so.
That very clear.
Oh,
we
speak
are
for
alive.
Yourself. Speak for yourself. I still have jet lag.
Oh yeah, Garrick, you just came from Italy, and all the food you posted, it kind of annoyed the heck out of me. I'm not gonna lie. It's like I should be there with my friend, right? It looked great. It looked great.
Gosh,
Welcome home.
It was the best food ever. Thank you.
All right, guys. So let's get sporty, shall we? I wanted to talk a little bit about, right off the bat, baseball. I want to go right to baseball. Major League Baseball.
I get it.
Excellent.
Major League Baseball, fellas. There's reasons to remember, and there's reasons to reproach. So what I wanted to get to first was some of the strangeness that's going on with Major League Baseball and an alternative, the kind of alternate development sites. Okay, these sites that we saw in the 2021 era is going to push back the AAA season at least a month. What's going on, Rich?
Well, I think Major League Baseball, once again, not looking forward, stepping into it, and just not keeping things on track. They have not learned, that they need good publicity, not bad publicity. And these alternate sites, stopping or starting the AAA season 1 week later than usual. I can see 2 weeks. I can see them even delaying it more. This is another opportunity for Major League Baseball to do it right. And they have all the COVID research. They have all the experience. Shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, we're kind of to the point now where what the heck is going on? We know that COVID, if it puts down a player, it can take you out for a little while. Possibly. It can have some repercussions. We do know that. A lot of other things can as well, but the numbers aren't really playing out to still be living in this era of fear, but we're doing it anyway. Is it a move to protect the players? Is it a move with what the popular group think is, Josh? Or is it just they really don't know any better? Or do they really think they're doing the best for everyone? What's going on?
I think it's a mixture of a couple things. I think that they think that this is what's best, but I think it's also the pressure that they see from the government and from some people, some of the fans that are very, very cautious in some of the markets, and they're taking the caution is the better part of valor approach in this kind of a situation. But I mean, by all accounts, the plan is still to have a 162 game season. There's going to be a little bit of weirdness in some of the minor leagues starting a little bit later than the regulars. So there's some of that, but by all accounts, we are still going to get a full season of baseball. Thank goodness for that. We're not going to have any more of these, less than 60 some game seasons cutting off 100 games. We're going to have a full season of baseball, even if it does end up getting delayed or something else happens. But
even if we have baseball at Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like we are still, from what I'm seeing right now, we are still going to have it coming up where we'll have opening day in the spring or at the end of spring here. So
Josh, do you think that Major League Baseball learned everything that they could have learned from the COVID season last year?
Yeah, I think there's not a whole lot more to be learned at this point. I mean, we see that even without most people getting vaccines, the COVID rates are dramatically lower than they were before.
True.
The virus has kind of run its course, so it's not getting any worse from here. We've hit that second wave. I mean, I think last week we passed the 1-year anniversary of 14 days to flatten the curve. So I think we're doing okay now.
Yeah, the numbers tell us that COVID cases are down 70% since Joe Biden took office on January 20th.
It's a miracle.
It's really interesting.
Gee, I didn't know it. That's better than an inoculation. Just voting in the right person.
We should have
Is that
elected
what you're
him a
saying?
year ago.
Yeah. Vote Democrat. The problems go away.
Yeah. About baseball.
Italy has actually just gone and announced today that they are going from orange to red, not because of deaths or fatalities, but because the British strain is now on their shores. And so I don't know.
We always have to watch out when the British invade.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
That's true.
Yeah. I think on the baseball thing, with the delay of the minor league season, I totally agree with Rich here. This is Major League Baseball stepping in it, because part of this story is that Major League Baseball has taken over the running and operation of minor league baseball, which was independently run before this last year. And one of the things they did was they winnowed down the number of teams that are out there. And a lot of it appears to be a cost cutting measure. What they're talking about with the whole delay of the minor league season is transportation issues, and that the minor league teams typically don't get the chartered flights that the Major League Baseball teams do. Okay, great. So Major League Baseball sitting on, 10 figures of cash.
They just signed a $1 billion TV contract most recently with TBS.
So if you are concerned, if transportation's your concern, then and you're running it now, pony up and get these guys chartered flights. You're delaying their development further. These developmental sites don't provide the competition you need to develop your talent that you will only get in gameplay. And now you have, specifically you look at the Mariners situation and all of the controversy raised by Kevin Mather's comments a few weeks ago about manipulation of service time for players like Jared Kelenic, especially him, because he's been very outspoken about it. Well, now what's going to happen is, if they decide not to bring him up to the major leagues, not only will he not be in the major leagues, but he won't be getting minor league at bats against competition. He'll be sitting and rusting in a site going against the same guys he saw most of last year, the same 10 guys. So I don't see that. And you put that together with what all of you said about how the COVID itself is declining. I don't understand the logic behind it. I don't see any way that this is a positive. And I think it's more gas on the fire when they come up to the collective bargaining agreement negotiations later in the year.
Well, it just proves that Major League Baseball is not the most professionally run pro sports league in America. Once again, I've said it several times. They are slow on the uptake. They were slow on
When have they ever When have they ever been run well?
The great American pastime has been asleep at the wheel on most of the important things in this country, and they've ridden the coattails of Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier for a long time. It's time for Major League Baseball to be a professional organization and stop claiming to be the American pastime when we all know football is number king.
And which football is that?
Yeah, right.
Well, I want to harken back to the time when baseball was the national pastime. And we saw great men, and one great man that battled on the diamond and off is going to be recognized. Lou Gehrig Day will be June 2nd. Take a listen.
I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
81 years later, Lou Gehrig and the disease that became his namesake will be recognized league-wide with his own day, an honor currently only given to Jackie Robinson and Roberto Clemente, with MLB announcing June 2nd will now annually be Lou Gehrig Day.
Yay, there you go. Lou Gehrig Day on the 2nd, guys. I think that's pretty amazing.
Well, Hall of Famer, both on and off the field. And he made strides in people connecting with athletes that have challenges. And we know about ALS. If you're a Washington State Cougar fan, you know about Steve Gleason and everything that he's gone through, Brent. So that's, once again, another great thing that Major League Baseball does. It's like they stub their toe and then they do a great thing. They stub their toe.
I think baseball does. I think baseball does a good job with honoring its history and the players that once were great. I wish that they had I wish they'd made more progress in marketing the current players that they have, and I know that's why they hired Ken Griffey Jr. recently to start helping them promote current players to current generations of people. If the past they're good with, the present, it just seems like one thing after another that puts stains on the game and on the fans that are watching it.
Okay, well, let's move to some other topics in sports as we take on sports this week. Coach Greg McDermott said he offered to resign after saying something that was, I don't know, kind of peculiar. I want to play that soundbite so you guys can hear it. I know the last one's kind of quiet. I'm working with my stuff here. Let's see if we can get this going.
Do you want to show the video, Michelle?
I am showing the video, so
okay.
Here we go. You guys can't see it. Sorry.
Mistake. And I understand the mistake that I made. And when you make a mistake, sometimes you're not only disappointed in yourself, which I'm extremely disappointed in myself, but the pain that I caused our players who looked to me as a mentor and as a leader, the pain that I saw in their eyes was immense. And that's where my disappointment is in myself.
So what is it that he said that was so strangely controversial? And I think it was kind of an odd comment, guys, where he was telling the fellas, hey, you got to stay on the plantation. What was up with that?
Well, it was, go ahead, Garrick.
Oh, I was just going to say, it was a poor choice of metaphors, really. I mean, and I don't know his heart behind it, and I don't think that there was any kind of racial overtones in his thoughts, but it's just an unfortunate choice of terms, because it's like, stay with me, guys. Don't flee the ship, or whatever you want to say, but
yeah.
it was just a poor choice, I think.
Yeah, and
go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, Rich, go ahead.
Well, being back in that part of the country right now on personal business, I've taken a unique look at this. Greg McDermott made a terrible choice of words, said a very stupid thing, and he's apologized twice. He's apologized to his very own team and to the entire community of Creighton University. He's taken responsibility for this. He didn't say if I offended anyone. He said I completely screwed up. I got to give him props for this. And now he is on suspension and indefinitely, and Creighton is deciding what they're going to do.
Yeah, I find this baffling. I find it baffling because people will say stupid things. Should stupid things cost you your job? If his players forgive him, who are we to decide if he deserves forgiveness or not? Where does this come from? Let's talk a little bit about this phrase that he used. It's not one that I'm familiar with, but maybe that's something that Coach McDermott grew up with. I don't know, the phrase without putting meaning behind it and thinking. I mean, and that's what happens when you're actually not a racist. You'll say things and go, oh, wow, that wasn't what I meant. Right. And that's where you learn and grow. But I want to get your comments, but let's go back to the history of this so that whoever's listening can kind of understand. Veritas Group tweeted in reference to back to the plantation. It said that it goes back to a phrase that was used after the Emancipation Proclamation. Some plantation owners asked their now free slaves to stay on the plantation. Like you were saying, Garrick, don't jump ship. Knowing that many had nowhere else to go. They didn't have resources when they left, even if they wanted to. Veritas Group said, yes, it was insensitive at best and stupid, but this is the historical content. Someone else mentioned Malcolm X in various speeches would say, they don't want a nation. They want to keep us on the plantation. So there are two historical references in America to draw from. Rich, thank you for waiting.
I just think it's I'm just going to go back to what Garrick said. It's a bad choice of words. It puts you in a place that you don't want to be. I know a lot of different coaches, and Greg McDermott is one of the best in the country. And I'll say this right now. I will say this. I've known his character. I've seen post-game conferences, everything. If Greg McDermott wants to coach the Washington Huskies, come on, man. We'll give you a second chance. Because I believe in grace. I believe in a second chance, because if we are gonna condemn everybody for a mistake, we're all condemned.
Well, I think that's really well put. Josh, Brent, Garrick, do either of you want to weigh in?
I did just want to comment the video clip that you played, the audio for, in watching that, and you can tell a lot by watching someone as they are speaking. And there was clearly contrition. There was clearly from what I could see and just reading his body language, he was not going through the motions, and we've all seen that, right? When someone makes a mistake and then they're going through the emotions of apologizing. He was clearly hurt by what he had done and the pain that he inflicted on others. And so when I see that, when I see contrition, when I see someone genuinely and honestly, earnestly kind of apologizing for something, then to me, that means this is something we can all grow from, and should not be a subject of cancel culture.
Well, no, indeed. In my opinion, go ahead, Brent.
I was just say we live in such an age of overreaction to everything. If there was a pattern of dropping these phrases that have such meaning to the people he's talking to, that's a big deal. But especially if this is not something that's a pattern of his behavior, and as Garrick said, you have a genuine apology. It wasn't I'm sorry if I offended anyone, or, it wasn't something that was written by a PR firm or his agent. This was the real deal. I'm like, okay, if you're going to suspend him, fine. But if he loses his job over this, it's just another example of just us going off the rails crazy.
I'm not even sure suspending is worthwhile. I'd like to hear from Josh.
Well, he's fine with it. That's one of the things he said.
Yeah, maybe he is, but I'm not.
Mistakes come with consequences, and I accept and agree with the suspension. Well, it depends on the suspension too. Is he done?
I mean, it's not up to me.
Is he out for a few games?
The suspension is indefinitely. And I blame Creighton for this. If you're gonna say that you're gonna stand up for racially insensitive comments, either suspend him for the whole season or tell us how long his suspension is going to be. This is playing politics, putting your finger up in the air, seeing which way the wind blows. Make a decision, people.
It's just crazy to me. I think that it's an overstep of someone saying something stupid and then going, as he said, I saw the hurt in my player's eyes and realized, oh yeah, that was stupid to say. How many of us have said something stupid and realized, ooh, that might not have been a good thing? I want to get Josh real quick before I add something else to this very conversation. Josh?
Yeah, well, there has to be a room for growth and realization. I think that, in something like this, when you're leading young men and you're teaching young men how to be, you do have a higher level of accountability. So some punishment isn't unwarranted if you're going to say something, especially since the majority of your players are African American. You have to be sensitive to that, and you are held to a higher standard. So some punishment warranted, sure. Does it necessarily constitute a firing or indefinite suspension? That might be a little far for me. I think that you have to look at the whole body of work, right? Look at the whole body of who this person is. Do they have other instances of being racially insensitive? Do they have other instances of having questionable character? And do they show that they're not fit to lead young men? If not, then, give them a suspension for a couple of weeks or a year and put them on notice and say, look, this was unacceptable. If you do it again, then you might have to be gone.
And in the article that I read, it said that his players did not want him to, they didn't want to lose him.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. But they don't make the decision. Everyone else does. And I want to take this to Syracuse, guys, where one coach is not being derided. He's not being suspended. And what he said was pretty insensitive. And I have the whole soundbite. I'm going to play the whole thing. It's 38 seconds long. So take a listen. Here we go.
We have gotten better as a team. And I think it's hard to go 9-7 in this league. I think it's a difficult league, very difficult. And I think these guys have done a great job this year.
Our next question is from
but if I had played Jesse and Kadari, we'd probably be 22-2 now. I just didn't see that. And I couldn't figure that out by myself after 45 years. I need a reporter to figure that out who's never played basketball and is 5'2".
What? Oh, you're short. Isn't that amazing? You could point that out. That's okay though. We don't care about short people. What's that? There used to be an actual song back. Oh my gosh, a million years ago.
Randy Newman.
Right?
I love short people.
Okay. That's what I should have found. I should have found the short people song. Guys, you all, because you're my close friends, you've known that I've had to endure some weirdness being a sports reporter here in the state of Washington, following Seattle sports. I was covering the Seattle Thunderbirds and their director of communications after a presser post-game came up to me and said, I have a concern about you being here among us. Your questions and your appearance show a certain lack of, a certain naivete towards sports in general, and particularly hockey. And I'm like, what? what was it that showed that I am naive about the game? Is what could that possibly be? My questions are, you can hear my questions on television, on some of the pressers. Not often that different. Sometimes I will add a personal approach. I'm a talk show host, and so I'm not asking the same rhetorical questions. Sometimes they're even challenging, and I often get that. Wow, that's a good question, but
you're naive to challenge them.
But I felt that same kind of ew. Well, not a learning moment and saying, hey, why do you ask these kind of questions? Just making an assumption that you know nothing about the sport. Why? Is it because I'm 5'5" and don't play professional hockey? And so what do you guys think about Syracuse? This had the same ring to it to me.
Well, here's the thing with Jim Boeheim. He has derided student reporters. This particular reporter was for The Athletic, a well-known national website that has covered his team and covered basketball nationally throughout the whole NCAA for the entire year and since The Athletic has existed. The Athletic is the major website.
Okay.
That's not how you want to deal with a reporter that represents their college basketball coverage.
Well, what you're saying is that this is an ongoing problem from him, Rich. You're saying it's an ongoing problem, and we've seen this, and yet we hadn't. In the coach we were just talking about, we do in this coach, but we're not seeing him canceled. Let's get someone else's ideas here. What do you guys think?
Correct.
Well, I have not heard an apology of any kind from Jim Boeheim over this. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Syracuse didn't do anything. So apparently, Jim Boeheim can make fun of anybody he wants to.
Right. So a few weeks ago it was Mike Krzyzewski, and he took down a student reporter, and he came out a week later and said, I was wrong to do that. So you have two different approaches. Honestly, if you have a habit of abusing people, verbally abusing people, whether they be the press, whether they be players, whether they be the staff in the building, there need to be consequences for that, not just if you drop a racially insensitive phrase.
Okay.
All right. Hot take time, though. I'm actually here for some of the sauce that some of the there we go. There's our short people song.
No reason. Short people got no reason. Short people got no reason to live. They got little hands, little eyes. They walk around telling great big lies. They got
we don't want those short people. Come on.
All right.
There you go. He found it.
All right. My hot take is I'm actually here for a lot of the coaches' sass that we get. I mean, there are places and times where it goes over the line, but a lot of times press goes over the line and they ask questions they say things like, well, are you just bad at your job?
Definitely.
So I get definitely. Especially the first half of his comment, I guess after 40 years of coaching, I should have figured out that we'd be, 22-2 if I did this the way that after being, a reporter for 2 years.
That part of it I actually enjoyed.
I loved that.
But you also are a coach of college kids, which is I know it's basically a professional league now. I mean, but if we go back to what college sports is supposed to be, you're also in the business of molding young men or young women, and how you treat people in front of others is part of that training, whether you want it to be or not. If they're a bit saucy, fine, but when you make it personal on the reporter that's asking questions, that crosses the line for me. Go ahead.
I would have loved to have seen Jim Boeheim ask me that question. I would have loved to have asked him to have had him ask me that very same question.
Tell us how you would have responded, Rich.
Well, that's why I brought that point up, because I would have I would have said, you do not have to play basketball to know about basketball fundamentals. I don't have to be an alcoholic to know that alcohol as an alcoholic is a very damaging thing. You can have an educated opinion and not have fully participated in a subject or an activity. That
you are very right. And now that we've presented that in light of this whole topic, guys, I think what he said was kind of cute, to be honest. You know,
that's what I was saying. Like, look what Mike.
He
Leach
wasn't
and,
saying
Nick
you
Saban
suck
and how those
because
guys
you're
act.
short. You don't play, and you're short, and still you schooled me. So it was kind of a sideways praise. Now the incident, I'll get back to you, Josh, in a second. The incident that I experienced in Seattle, you know what? Did I walk around offended? No, a little. But I got over it and realized, you know what? No one asked me not to come anymore. I just go. And, sometimes that makes you have to be better and work harder. And you know what that makes me? Better and harder working. Puts me at the top of my game. That's okay. And I'm okay with that because it's an educational moment. Not that it was okay what he said, but it's an educational moment where I'm concerned. Move on.
Yeah. The question I would have raised to the PR person from the Seattle Thunderbirds, what are you doing to make your team more relevant to Seattle sports fans? I can't remember the last time that I thought about the Seattle Thunderbirds. I've been thinking about the Seattle Kraken.
Go Silvertips.
Since they announced the fact that the team would exist.
Well, there you go. And you're right. My response to him was, I see a spackling of 2 or 3 reporters here. I'm here. You should be really happy that I am. He should. Thank you very much.
He should have been the guy driving the limo to your house to pick you up. He should have been the one driving the limo that is also handicapped accessible
for Rich
to your house. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. See this? It's not a Thunderbird shirt, people. It's a Kraken shirt.
Oh, I love it. Oh, I cannot wait. For those of you watching all over the world, everyone today, and we have a splattering of people who will join us who are from outside the region, but all of us have this Northwest tie to the Seattle sports team. So really excited about seeing the Kraken. And
July 24th expansion draft. July 24th.
Come
Countdown.
on.
Mark your calendars.
But guys, I want to switch gears a little bit and move it to the NFL. Joshua, it is time. Give us the official kickoff to the NFL countdown. It's like something like 187 days, I think.
188 days, 4 hours, 23 minutes, and 22 seconds is what we're at right now. So
that's very.
We got a ways to go. We got a ways to go. We're in a long way
and
right
in
now.
in this time, there's a lot of moving, shaking, posturing, positioning, placement, and it's kind of interesting. Here's some food for thought I want to get my expert panel's ideas on. From about 2016 for about 2 years, teams there were quite a few teams, maybe 8, that traded up to draft a quarterback in the top 12, right? Since 2018, 19 and 20, those 2 years, there were only 2 trades made in the top half of the first round, and neither of them were for quarterbacks. Well, now what we're looking at a bunch of teams that are maybe quarterback poor. So we're seeing a lot of weird positioning and a lot of crazy PR. Vikings announced that they waived Ty Hayes and what's his name? Trent Kersley. They waived him. Baker Mayfield says he saw a UFO. I don't know how that fits in. JJ Watt is
Whoa, you missed Tom Brady saying, "Hey, how did you know I've never seen a UFO?"
Oh, I would love to get to that, but J.J. Watt, that's a defender. That's not a quarterback. Let's stick to quarterbacking. And this was huge. Russell Wilson still being talked about. He's popping up in trade speculation. New Orleans is being bantered around. Jeremy Fowler had said on SportsCenter that a source told him that Russell Wilson says that he likes to have an emerging offensive line, and so Chicago is looking pretty good. The Bears want to put their name in. So there's a lot happening here in the quarterback field.
Chicago Bears are terrible. Matt Nagy is not a pro coach. So let's get rid of that.
All of these things, I mean, from the Vikings to Russell Wilson to all of these other talks, the quarterback position in 2021 is kind of looking as interesting as like a soap opera drama right now.
Well, as the pigskin turns, I heard if you want to talk about rumors, let's talk about this example. Someone on national radio, who shall remain nameless, said that the Washington football team should go after Russell Wilson and plug him in at quarterback to go along with their stellar defensive line.
There's all kinds of talk out there.
Oh,
guys.
there's all kinds of
It's getting kind of weird out there. Josh, you made reference to something now. Baker Mayfield was talking about seeing a UFO the other night, and just to give some background to what you were saying, Colin Cowherd. Did I say his name wrong? Oops. He criticized Mayfield. He said that he would prefer all of the qualities of a quarterback, of all of the preferred qualities, their arm, good snap, are you mobile? He said of all of those qualities, the ability to see a UFO in the off season is nowhere on my top 10 qualifications. In other words, wait, Rich, hold on. Let me get to my point, and then you can have the floor.
Okay.
So he's making this point, we want to see you play football. We don't care about anything else. Why don't we care about that where politics are concerned? Thank you very much. But he also said Joe Montana, Troy Aikman, Terry Bradshaw, Tom Brady never saw aliens, and I would prefer that they don't talk about it. Well, a few hours later, Tom Brady indeed tweeted, "How do you know? I've never seen aliens, Colin." So anyway, it was kind of a funny and a weird side note. Colin's making a point. Why aren't we hearing that point where politics is concerned? And why do we care about UFOs on the off field? All right, Rich, you're biting at that.
Because he doesn't like his backwards hat.
Well, I would retort to Colin Cowherd. Why should we care about your show? Why should we care about your opinion? If we don't care, if you ask the question, why should we care about UFOs? Why should we care about your opinion about sports? Just because you are on Fox Sports 1 doesn't make you a professional broadcaster.
And how tall are you anyway?
Well, that's another good point. How tall are you? Why are you an authority? You say you don't want Baker Mayfield's opinion about UFOs. Why should we care about your opinion about sports?
And here's the thing.
Well, it's because he's the primary mouthpiece for Mark Rogers. That's why he's has dinner with him on the regular to get his opinions.
Mark Rogers don't want his opinion, don't listen to it. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead. What'd you say?
Mark Rogers doesn't need a mouthpiece.
Yeah. Well,
but when they want to say it's Russell Wilson and Russell Wilson's camp, you can be sure Colin Cowherd is going to be one of the primary outlets for what they're saying and what Mark Rogers wants to get out there.
The only camp that Russell Wilson is interested in is him camping out in his multiple homes. So let's just get away from anyone.
So Garrick,
anyone.
Brent, guys, that kind of leads me to this Russell Wilson is popping up. almost on a daily basis with all of these trade talks. And I like that people are talking about him because he's been under recognized. But what's happening here? Is it really Team Russ or is it Team Russiera? Are they tired of Seattle? Are they too big for the casual feeling Northwest? Do they want out of the stadium that used to be CenturyLink but is now referred to the Lou? Do they want to just not get flushed down with the Lou? I mean, what's going on here?
Off-season Russ has always been a different bird than in-season Russ. He's
exactly.
You know, if you look back over the years, every year there's been something that makes you go, "What?" Like the pregnancy pictures with Sierra that one year that come to mind. But I think in the bigger picture, I think what's happening is the NFL players have seen what's happened in the NBA, where the drama has almost become as big as the game, and all this stuff going on. Here we are a month and a half after the Super Bowl. We've got the NCAA tournament coming up. We've got spring training going on. Soccer's about to start. And what's everybody talking about? The NFL. And some of that is because of the size of the NFL, but some of that is that they're throwing all this stuff out there that gets people talking. I mean, we've only heard Russell himself talk like twice, and some pretty, I mean, yeah, there's some frustration expressed, but he wasn't dropping vocal nukes anywhere.
And that's the
yet,
point.
The whole thing, everything is just exploded around him. And I think he's happy to let that go on.
Ooh, good point.
And
this is why you watch shows like this.
This is not coming from Russell. It's all conjecture from different so-called experts. And so I completely agree with you, Brent, on all points, because I don't think Russell minds it at all. I mean, he knows where he's going to be, and I think it's going to be in Seattle.
It's going to be in Seattle. This is all much ado about nothing. I mean, look at the list of teams that he put out there. The Saints are millions over the cap. There's absolutely no possibility. The Bears are one of the worst franchises in the NFL right now, with a head coach and a GM likely on their way out the door. What's he going to do? Go to a bad team with a decent O-line and then get a new
Matt Nagy can't coach his way out of a wet paper bag.
Yeah, and the franchise is awful. They're not going to get the good pieces around him. And the Cowboys, they're dealing with if they can keep Dak Prescott, who's not under contract. So they'd have to, what are they going to try to sign him to a contract and convince him to get a trade to Seattle instead of testing the free market?
Oh, Josh, you missed it. Dak Prescott now wants Patrick Mahomes' money. So, I mean, the Super Bowl, the super soap opera that is the Dallas Cowboys continues. Jerry Jones hasn't smelled a Super Bowl in about 25 years.
And he's not going to. And Russ is not going to get back to a Super Bowl with the Cowboys.
So it's just
who's
more.
The other one? The Raiders. They're going to trade us Derek Carr and some bad picks for Russell Wilson. I mean, there's nothing that gives the Seahawks what they want. There's no team that gives Russell Wilson really what he wants in those four lists. He's not going anywhere. This is all posturing, and this is all Mark Rodgers stirring things up to see what he can get for his client. It's much ado about nothing. Come opening day, Russell Wilson is a Seahawk. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. He was part of hiring Shane Waldron, our new offensive coordinator. He has that in the bag. He was part of that. He wants that. This is all nothing. It's a discussion about nothing that's going to happen.
Much ado about nothing. And what's the phrase, guys? What's the phrase as the pig skin spins? Is that it, or it turns? It's
as the pig skin turns. That's
there you go. Okay, guys.
Let's go to real soccer. Let's go to real football, Michelle.
Real football. All right. So we talked a little bit about the Lou, which is now Lumen Field. Used to be CenturyLink Field. I mean, what a name, really, the Lou.
The Lou. I hadn't heard that one yet. That's hilarious.
Oh, come on. Just like the Kraken's playing over there at Seattle Center, it's going to be the Crack House.
Seattle
is going down.
That's a lot better name than Climate Change Arena or whatever.
Yeah, I know. I would
call it
prefer
Climate
the
Change
Climate.
Arena. No one is going to say that. That is just it's folly.
The Crack House.
It's the Crack House. I'm sorry, guys, but let's move from the field to the pitch, which, by the way, just is the same field. They just repaint it. So Seattle Sounders announced yesterday that they are signing. This is big, guys. Forward Freddie Montero. He was like, wasn't he like Golden Boot the first 3 MLS seasons with the Sounders? He recently
60 goals.
He recently played with the Whitecaps.
So is he like 40 years old now?
He's been one of the biggest forces, in my humble opinion, on the Vancouver side of the border here in the Northwest. I'm kind of interested in what's going on, why we're bringing him back. What does that mean with like Raul Ruidiaz? He's been having green card issues. The guy is a COVID freaking factory. He's had it twice. And then we have the big injury to our loaned out sounder Jordan Morris. So where Major League Soccer is concerned in this corner of the world, hello Seattle, what does the addition of Freddie Montero mean, Garrick, and why are we doing this? And do we just love our old players? We want to just have an old homecoming week? What's going on?
Well, I definitely feel like the injury to Jordan Morris was the biggest reason for the signing of Montero, because with Morris still in the game, I mean, there's no need for Montero. And it's just interesting in terms of stylistically. Montero is not, I don't see how he fits into the chemistry right now of the club. But clearly Coach Schmetzer knows and understands what is going on, and he would not have been signed without good advice, good counsel. I just got a visitor from my grandpuppy. Sorry, Wookie of the Year. You have some competition for cutest dog.
We can say every week this Sports Time Out podcast goes to the dogs. Always going to the dogs, guys.
That's all right. I'm confident mine's cuter, so it's fine.
Oh,
a lot of people don't want it to go.
And now that's our face-off topic, guys.
Everything you need to pack into the weekend in one podcast.
What was that? That was supposed to be face-off. I don't know what's going on here. I'm pressing the wrong buttons.
Well,
it's going to the dogs.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
we can play that song.
Working for the weekend.
We are going to the weekend. And as we do, we're taking sports with us, talking Major League Soccer. So we're looking for Sounders, by the way, this week at Starfire Sports, just south of the former area of Seattle. They're going to be starting preseason. MLS regular season is scheduled to open the weekend of April 17th. So we are on the way. Got my sports hat on. Oh, my, and if I'm going to do this, I'm sorry, guys, I'm a girl. I'm doing it girl style. So yeah, she has a bow, sporting the colors. It's okay. This is how it goes down in sports in my house. What are we looking at for MLS, fellas? Talk to me. Bring it.
Well, Portland has made a lot of moves, and they look pretty, and they look good. It's going to be a challenge. We don't. Well, I don't care about Portland either, but I got to recognize they're making some moves. Doesn't mean that I care about it, but they're going to be challenged in Seattle.
Okay, live comments here. Montero is there to cover summer absences and possible 2 forward lineup. So,
good point.
Yes, I thought so. That's why I read it. All right. So I'm looking forward to Major League Soccer. I am looking forward to another Sounders year. We've got some teams that are entertaining to watch. Well, let's see how this plays out, and let's see if we actually get to have fans in the stands for most of our places. Are we going to have to travel to Florida and Texas in order to go and see a game, guys?
Well, I'm pretty sure we're going to have fans in the stadium. I mean, already look at what spring training is doing for for Mariners and everyone down in Arizona and the other cactus leagues and spring leagues. Is they're having fans in the stand at a limited capacity, somewhere between 15 and 20% typically capacity for those stadiums. Still lets thousands of fans go, and I imagine as things progress, we'll let more and more people go in. So I'm confident we're going to have fans in the stands. It's just the question of how many.
I said the Sounders have 50% capacity by the time the season starts.
I don't know, guys. I don't think
That's how it
our
starts?
state leaders want to give up that control. I really don't think they do. We haven't seen a lot of movement. You're looking at less than 2 months. You think all of a sudden the Governor Jay Inslee, the governor of the state of Washington, is all of a sudden going to say, yeah, let's just open up because, that's a lot of control to give up.
It depends on what the president says. When the president spoke about the schools, all of a sudden, Jay Inslee, we got to open our schools. So
exactly.
If the president says something, Inslee will follow.
Yeah. And there's going to be more pressure coming on. We'll see how Texas fares. They just completely opened up everything. They said we're just opening everything up, no restrictions at all, and we'll see how that fares for them.
Let's see. I want to get to some comments from our live listeners. 2 things. One, question asked about coaching changes. I'm sure not just with the Sounders, but the positioning throughout all sports, of course, but in all of Major League Soccer. And a comment that says, "Yeah, Seattle Mayor's not going to allow fans." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're probably right. Forget the governor. What about the city of Seattle? If we want to see sports, we might have to start seeing instead of the Seattle Seahawks, the Vancouver Washington Seahawks or something. I don't know." So thoughts on coaching too, guys?
Well, my big thing with coaching this last week was actually a move the Seahawks made. They made a couple of moves, moving some people around for special teams and the like. But the big one a lot of people will probably like is the new defensive quality control coach, who is someone you may recognize. Deshaun Shedd, former defensive back for the Seahawks, is coming back in a coaching role, that's something I'm really excited about. He was a really cool guy, played really well for the Seahawks, did well for us in his time here. So I'm excited to see him back in the building. So that's my 2 cents on coaching.
All right, guys,
now.
We're gonna we have some time constraints for some of our roundtable folks today. So one other thing I wanted to get to, we're in Seattle, and the Seattle Storm, which is the force to be reckoned with with the WNBA. They have a brand new logo. It looks all right. It's fine. And they said they're using a font that is more futuristic because we're such a forward-thinking city. I'm not sure that I agree with that. I'd like to just be and this is what I want to tie it back into with both soccer and what's happening in the world around us. The debate between Ibrahimovic and LeBron James talking about, do what you're good at and keep the politics out of it. That's a big deal, but we're not seeing it going anywhere. And I wanted to play something for you guys that, I think it kind of speaks for itself on this very debate. Take a listen.
We're talking about a man who went back to his home community in Akron, Ohio, and opened the I Promise School that he mentioned, that caters to 300 kids from the lower socioeconomic status, providing for them an employment for their parents. So I can sit here and just as easily point out, in my mind, that I think LeBron is a far better man, a far better advocate for the black community, a far better philanthropist, a far better standard bearer for equality than he is a basketballer.
All right, so that's the point that was made on ESPN. And, there's a point that, it's LeBron James does a wonderful job in his, if you will, politics. But does it have to be married on the field? LeBron James, 90% of the time, keeps it off the field and does it in his real life. Good for you. We've talked about Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson does astounding things in the community. He always works with the kids hospitalized at Children's Hospital. These are things that we know of, and it makes a statement. Does it have to be on the field? Garrick, I want to hear from you. You've been kind of quiet today. Jet lag.
No, well, I think for those listeners who have been with us for a while, my song and dance. It is let's let sports be sports, and then if you're going to have something to say, then say it off the field, and let your sports speak for themselves. Sports is the one thing, as you said in the beginning of the show, Michelle, that has the potential to unify us. And you bring in politics, and all of a sudden you have division. And especially when franchise clubs, organizations are selective in this. If you're going to allow it,
yes,
okay, allow it, but allow it across the board so that it's completely unfiltered, so that players can say what they want and they can express how they feel. I prefer to keep it off, but if you're going to allow it, then allow it for everyone, for whatever you want to say.
I love it, Garrick. I'll tell you what, if we're going to have Black Lives Matter on jerseys, kits, or warm-up gear, I want to have Jesus died for all lives on my jersey, kit, or gear. Guys, because of time, we need to take it to our final shot. I'm going to go real quick first and just say that led up to my final shot.
Final shot.
There you go. My final shot really goes to Ibrahimovic and LeBron James. LeBron James for trying to do good in his community, and Ibrahimovic for standing up and saying, come on, guys, enough is enough. Let's just play the game. So let's go ahead and take it to Encyclopedia Rich.
Encyclopedia Rich.
Final shot.
Encyclopedia.
Final shot.
Final shot. If we're going to hold people to a standard, let's make sure that we hold all people to the same standard. And if we are going to forgive people for mistakes, let's make sure that we forgive all people for honest mistakes and have grace.
I just love you, Rich. You just brought it home. All right, let us go to the author of the spectacular book available right now. Please pick it up. You will not be sorry. It is an amazing read. It is so
I won't
entertaining.
be sorry either.
And he won't be sorry. Brent.
Author, photographer, Brent R Baker.
That's
Final
pretty
shot.
chilling. I love it. High school sports in Washington are back after a full year. So we've had, if you're not in Washington, you probably won't get this, but we have our high school football, cross country, soccer, volleyball, fall sports started up a week ago. And our seasons are going to be all messed up, but the kids are back. Some of them have been working out. Some of them haven't done anything for a year, but it's just been great, including some of their coaches like me. It's just been great to be outside and just seeing them start to like emerge from this dark cloud that we've been under for a long time.
Heck yeah. All right. Garrick Pang, everyone get ready to get panged.
Get ready to get panged.
All right. Well, I'm giving mine right here to Seattle Sounders. This one's going to go to Freddie Montero. Welcome back, Freddie. And as an older soccer player myself, never count them out just because they're a little bit longer in the tooth. Whenever Freddie came on the pitch when we were playing against him, I was always nervous, and so
right, yeah.
I'm glad to see him back in our rave green again, and hope that he'll be able to contribute with some great goals.
Dude, in the last maybe 3 years up until last year, at every game we played the Whitecaps, I was there on the sidelines. I was there just at the edge of the pitch watching it, and I had that same feeling. Joshua McMillen.
Wookie of the Year, Josh McMillen.
Maybe you need to record some better Wookiee sounds on that one. Get some down for you.
Well, they weren't original. Go ahead and Wookiee us, Josh.
You can get us later. Anyway, my final shot. And next week, by the way, I expect we spend a little bit more time talking about baseball now that we're in spring training and what we're going to look like in this season. I'm really excited about this. But for now, I want to share a little highlight from one of our games here with our starting pitcher, Chris Flexen, who I am very excited about. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, watch this play right here.
Flexen ready, the windup, and again the 3-2 to Robert swinging a line drive caught by Flexen. Got the glove up in.
Wow.
If that's not one of the highlights of the year, here, I'll do it one more time. Watch him catch this ball. There you go.
That happened so fast, it took me a minute to realize what I saw.
Yeah, that ball, he threw it 93 miles per hour. It came back at him at 101 miles per hour. Flexing his reflexins to get that ball out there and get that out. Showed really well for us, and I'm really excited what the Mariners are going to bring to the table this year, especially with that pitching staff that they have. I think they have potential to really, really push on some things, and they are doing what they said they would a couple of times. Credit to Jerry DiPoto when he said, we are going to be ascending as the rest of our division is descending, and that's exactly what's happening. Excited for this year. And
so Josh, you noticed you were a little late, but Jared Kelenic was on deck. Is there a connection there?
Oh, no. We'll talk about Jared Kelenic. That's a discussion to be had. I got some things to say about that one, but we'll get there. Don't worry.
There you go. Hey, guys, I want to thank you so much for being part of the fun today. If you are watching, man, these guys are amazing, both in this roundtable and in real life. They all, along with me, are living to find the God story and live out that God story and share that God story with a world that is confused, hurting, and there is really something deeper. So if you're curious about that God story, go to MyMichelleLive.com, email me. Any of these guys would love to talk to you about it. And guys, God bless you. Oh, Garrick?
Did Rich give his final shot?
Yes, I did.
He was first.
He was first.
Oh, that's
I was first.
I'm sorry. I'm
glad he made such an impact on you.
For more fun, go to MyMichelleLive.com.